Today, I'm going to be showing you guys my custom Inazuma 11 teams. Ones I've written, ones I've used in various stories and various narratives, and I'm going to be giving you guys probably a bit too much access to them. Let's do this. TXM writing style. What's up, gamers, and welcome to a new video on the channel. This is going to be a bit of a highly requested video, it seems like. Shout out to Yo-Yo Yuri for commenting on, I think, the last 2 weeks worth of videos. Day insert number here, asking for a video about Slightly Bigger Waves, which is a team I teased in one of my videos. Just a team that I've made, because for those who don't know, I was part, I still am, but of a collaborative writing group who make Inazuma 11 stories and narratives. And so as a result of this, I have made a lot of custom Inazuma 11 teams, as well as in my own personal free time. And so in today's video, I'm going to be, I guess, finally doing that video on Slightly Bigger Waves. And I'm going to be making a video essentially detailing to you guys a variety of characters, teams, and just storylines from this writing. I'm going to be the main thing is I'm only going to be using my personal writing. I don't want to divulge anyone else's. I don't want to throw anyone else's stories out into the world. So you will only be getting, I guess, half of the story, if that makes any sense. I'll try to fill in details whenever possible without accidentally revealing someone's, serious writing passions. You know what I mean? But honestly, it's been a while since I've taken a look at some of these. Because some of these are concepts that I've never quite done. I've got 4 documents. One is massive. We're going to be taking a look through all of them. I'll be showing you guys the highlights, the best parts. And I guess we can try and figure it out together. So without further ado, these are my custom Inazuma 11 teams. Let's go. So first up, this is called Inazuma Japan V2. I think the idea for this was me and a friend were writing a fic of Inazuma 11 Go Galaxy, kind of an alternate universe, where it's instead of Arian, Victor, and Ricardo, it's Mark, Axel, and Jude. And then it's following that same galaxy philosophy of the other players don't know anything about football, and so they're all kind of new players in terms of Inazuma Japan. So let's just take a quick look at, I guess, what we've got. So obviously Mark is the goalkeeper, based. I mean, it's not really. Look, if I was to do this today, I would probably end up making Mark a defender, because I just prefer defender Mark straight up. But I appreciate that we're given a Megaton head and Gigaton head, I guess. What the hell is God Hand G? How do you Wait, how do you make a G? God Hand G. How do you do? Okay, sure, I guess. I'm seeing that I don't have any move descriptions, which is really disappointing. But oh well, what are you gonna do? We have Saruka Ize, a chess player, famous around the world for becoming the youngest grandmaster ever, with leaping tower, mad standing sharp. There's a lot of moves for one person. I guess these are all chess themed. I have no idea what Sharp Run is, if I'm being honest. Castle Walls and Leaping Tower, you can kind of understand. Mad Stallion, it's obviously based on the Knight piece, but it's a long shot as well. Ooh, would you look at that? Weird it's not a block. I guess I would have expected a block from, a defender. But Sharp Run, I literally have no idea what that is. Satori Kaba. Striker with Delusion of Grandeur. Sees himself as the next coming of Tamiya Yu. Who? So I never picked up a football before. A lot better at defending. This is a concept that I, for some reason, use in most everything I write. Is the idea of a person who loves to be a striker, but is always put in defense. I have no idea why I always stick to that concept, but I guess I do it here with Reverse Tornado Drop, which I'm assuming is some kind of mix of a shooting move. Weird I didn't give him a shot block. Feels kind of obvious, but I guess I didn't do it in retrospect. Denka Patois, Power Tor. A rough rugby player believes strength is the key to being good at sports and will fight anyone who disagrees. With Magma Charge. I'm assuming this is kind of like him building magma around him and then charging into someone straight up. I like the idea. Yeah, sure. Rough rugby player. Why not? I guess it's... Oh my god. I'm so sorry. I just saw Hanku Aroni, a legendary batter. Batter away is his move. Oh, no. Wait. Yeah, batter just straight up bats it. I love that. This is the kind of player, I think this is years old at this point. This is the kind of player I would still use, absolutely. A swimmer's so good at what he does, he can barely just play sports on land. Isn't that a mood? I think this is the first person to have a move that we already gave someone, which fair dues. Tropic Wave, Shark Strike. Yeah, I kind of like it. We doesn't have it. I would have assumed a dribble on him, but I guess not. A mediocre at sports all around. What's tough enough after being picked on? Very enthusiastic. I wonder what... these are just very generic names. Like, you know what I mean? You can tell there was no theme in mind here. We just went with whatever. And so that's why we have Arrow Strike, which means really nothing. But I guess it's there. I guess this person kind of serves as a secondary protagonist to the main three, I guess. Just based on the fact they're very enthusiastic. That kind of gives me the vibe of, oh, character arc. So probably kind of like a, you know, kind of like a soon-to-be protagonist. Like, will be good by the end. Jude, his Emperor number 4, because of course he does. And Double Trap. Sure. What the hell? Oh, Krav Maga. Oh, it's Tanquo. Of Tanquo. Is that an actual thing? Is Tanquo a thing? I have no idea. I like the names of the moves, though. I like it. And then Pyromaniacal on Axel. That's mad. Pyromaniacal. I'm going to say Pyromaniacal. But I'm going to ignore it because I just looked at this next guy and he has a move called Straight Ahead. But straight is spelt skater dude because he's a skater dude. And now I'm in love, and I know exactly what my next story is going to be about. It's about this man with straight ahead. I love it. Also, something that I kind of saw just briefly when I was like looking through this earlier. For some reason, we decided to put Kevin on Orpheus, and I have no idea why we did that. Kevin's not Italian. Wait, doesn't he go to Italy in the end? That's why. So I guess that kind of makes sense. I'm assuming this is going to be like a high school type deal. Like this is supposed to be taking place in high school. I mean, sure, I'm still not, like, mad. Excalibur. Sick. This is probably the Steam we'll spend the least time on, because it's just kind of really, really quick. But this is called Burning Dragon. They kind of link into slightly bigger waves, so I'll be showing at the end. But I guess these are just a fire-based, kind of fire dragon type team, because it's a South Korea's international team. Don't know why there's always the emphasis on fire for them. I guess I just saw fire and was like, yeah, let's just do that. Flame Beast is gonna kind of another really generic name. I like what's 5-star Cyclone then? I've got kind of, if 3 users punch the ground as a star shape forms on the ground. Okay, I'm picturing it. Suddenly a Cyclone bursts out of the star shape, capturing the opponent, sending them to the air as they grab the ball. I actually like that. I really like that. Yeah, just pew, pew. Raw Flame. The first user jumps up and kicks the ball catching on fire. Second user in the air, second user then kicks it further in the air, so both users fall to the ground and then jump up and Inazuma 1 kick the ball. Don't know why Inazuma 1 kick the ball is a verb I started using, but it is for some reason. And then we have Korean Kick. This might be the single worst name I've ever seen. Korean Kick. Just something about the kick is it's just really Korean. I have no idea why I even chose. What was my thinking there? And I give that to all. Does anyone even have Korean Kick? Oh, the main cat, the captain. I don't know if it's the captain. It looks, no, he's not the captain. This guy's the captain. I don't want to pronounce the name because I thought I just won't be able to do it. Korea's Flaming Star player. Every kick he has makes it Flaming Star. That doesn't mean anything. These descriptions don't mean anything. That's a bit of a random one. The smartest player of the team who fries the brains and none of the brawn. I like that. Some of these I actually do quite like, I'll be honest. Okay, but let's move on to the biggest document. The absolute beaster. This is upcoming plans. So as you can see, for reference, we're currently on Season 4, for reference. So some of these I'll be able to talk about in kind of in-depth. Others, not in the slightest. So I'm intrigued. So we have first up, Rura Ryujin, who is still a character in it to this day in Season 4. Traveler from Japan, wishes to lead high school football. Also, ignore the pictures, they're just kind of there as reference images. And I'm plagiarizing from various animes because I'm dirty. Wishes to lead high school football into a new age. I like that idea, if I'm being honest. I still actually really like the idea of someone like actively just leading high school football. Like into this new age of like, I guess being more organized and like kind of more like grand, especially with grand ambitions. I guess that's what I was going for here with Rura Ray. Also, here we go. Here's an idea. If you are in the if you love dub names, dub name these people. Why not? For instance, dub name Rura. What dub name would you give Rura Ryujin? And for instance, Mahu Ryujin, his son and loyal follower. I remember Mahu, his whole storyline. He's actually was planning to become a villain. Because we were going to do 4 seasons then time skip, right? That's the plan. And so the plan with him was him kind of building over these 4 seasons. I guess he's introduced in Season 2. And then Season 2, 3, 4. Building up to kind of be really like grow more and more obsessed with one of the main characters. One of the striker of the team. to the point where in the 5th season, he would just go absolutely smart scientist, be like his personal assistant, but also, like, start cloning him. Because I guess that's the kind of weird stuff I'm into. And so Mahu, like, I feel like his dub name would have to do something like Stans and, like, obsessing and that. So I don't know what his name would actually be, but probably incorporating the word Stan in there somehow. Obviously, they would have the same last name because, you know, it's father and son, you know, and they have the same Ryujin right there. I wish I knew what any of this means. I don't. We have, this is an Italian player, I think. Yeah, it's Italian. This is a team, this one, the final of season 2, which was the FFI season. The final for that had, it was Italy. It was Japan versus Italy. And I chose, and I got to basically, the guy who was running Italy and made all the Italy teams was like, you guys choose, you guys can add a player to Italy if you want. And so this was my submission. Marco Ruggi. But there's a U on the end. Marco Ruggiu. Ruggiu? I'm going to go with Ruggiu. I still think the design is sick as hell. Obviously, I didn't make this. This was stolen. But, you know, ignore that. Just ignore it. Marco, midfielder. Wind, obviously. His style is cool. Don't know why I put that of all things, but I guess his style is cool. A jack of all trades. Marco's typically one step ahead of the opposition thanks to his fast reflexes and keen intellect gathered from his time selling goods on the streets. I mean, fair dues. He has a move called Hand of God. I mean, fair dues to you. The user raises their hands in the air and it glows yellow, forming a God hand. The God hand. The user then clenches their fist and calls on the hand to do the same. They will pull their arm back before punching the air full force, calling the hand to do fly into the air. The user then jumps in the air, reaching the hands. They overhead the kick ball. Okay, so it's not quite as Hand of God as I wish it was. I wish it was just kind of literally just a slap, but with a God hand, so it wasn't technically a handball. But I mean, fair dues. I kind of like it. I like it. It's a long shot, obviously. And then, let me. You want a bit of trivia on Italian drilling unit M129? If you put M219 if you put 129 into a code, and like kind of code break it and make it into a name, you get Abby, which was the name of the girl I was crushing on at the time, because that's the kind of person I was when I made this 2 years ago. Sick. Okay. We have tactics, Thunder Break. They pass the ball around in square formation. The pass is getting faster and faster. The ball gathers with lightning energy. Kick the ball into the center where it storms massive energy. Then dash, kicking the ball up and Abby slightly. Looks like it's about to explode. And then kicks diagonally. Like it's a whirlwind drill, drilling through the midfield. That's mad. I like that. Fair dues, fair dues. For season 4, oh, this is my main character. This is my basically main character. Are Hangiaku, who is a midfielder. He mixy maxes with because season 4 was kind of like our time travel season. It was our mixy max season. So he mixy maxes with Blackbeard. Okay, special moves. We have Scattered Darkness, which is the edgiest thing I've ever written in my life. That's the thing is, Are is just kind of like edgy to the point of like complete and utter excess, and I will just completely work with that. Samurai Cuts, Grand Dodonpa. Okay, I actually want to talk about. Okay, so let's talk about a couple things here. First of all, Dodonpa. Dodonpa was my kind of my franchise. I in my top 10 shooting Hizutar video, I basically talked about franchise moves like Penguin, like Fire Tornado, like Death Zone, moves that get lots of iterations. Dodonpa is my version of that, and then Are started off in season, because you're introduced in season 2, started off with Dodonpa, which was just him snapping his fingers, ball fires off. Then there was Perfect Dodonpa, which was Dodonpa, but more lightning, and it was cooler in that. And then we have Grand Dodonpa, which is because Are basically changes theme every season because I don't know, I decided because just why not. So in season 4, he joined Pirates Cove basically in the time skip between 3 and 4. There was like a couple months time skip. He joined Pirate Cove to find himself or whatever and become a pirate or whatever. And so he got more of a water theme, and so we got Grand Dodonpa, where he kicks the ball into the air, water starting to build in its core, expanding until the ball comes submerged in a giant spinning circular tidal wave. Are slams his hand against the ground, shouting as the ball fires out with the tidal wave at full speed towards the goal, surrounded by a lance of water cone and lightning electricity. So the basic idea with Dodonpa is it's shooting without shooting, where all you're already doing is like making some kind of hand motion, and that's what gets the ball shot out. And so I don't know, I kind of ran with the idea of, because Are's whole point is meant to be like a controlling midfield, like, you know, he's very good at controlling the ball, that's his whole deal. And so it felt like a move where he wasn't really shooting more than he was just kind of going, whoo! That's the kind of thing that appealed to me about him. Then we have a Mixie Max move, we have Black Sea Tsunami. Again, edgy. We have Perfect Rajan. Rajan Blade, I guess I'll also talk about. Rajan Blade is my last resort. Just straight up. It was made, though, before Orion aired, I swear. So I swear I didn't even know about Last Resort. Yeah, I wouldn't have even... So Last Resort ripped me off. Because basically, Rajan Blade was this move that was devised by Are's father. And it was originally a one-person move where... Let me do a demonstration in the little space I have. Where, like, the first player would, like, kick it up, covered in lightning. Then the second player would jump up, overhead kick it. Well, I say second player. This is the third free-player version. So in this case, the one player would kick it up and immediately jump up, overhead kick it, then jump down, and then sprint, and then kick it, and it would be like lightning-filled in Rajan, and you know what I mean? Like lightning and lightning. Also, come up with a dub name for Rajan Blade, why not? I'd love to see it. But then Are basically couldn't replicate the move. He just couldn't do it. He wasn't that skilled in Season 2. And so at the end of Season 2, in the final match, Japan versus Italy, Are basically ended up using Rajan Blade with 2 other people. Like Last Resort Sigma, basically. And so it would be the first person, which Are shot it up. The second person jumped on his back and then overhead kicked it. The third person, who was really fast, ran, kicked it. You know what I mean? 3-player move, basically my last resort. And then I wanted to end Season 4, at least I want to end Season 4, with Are being first person. Oh, thing is, my plan was I'm just going to make Are really OP by the end, where he's going to, like, basically he's going to have 2 Fighting Spirits at once and fuse them together to make a super Fighting Spirit. As you can see, God of Thunder and Rain, Tal Clock. Because why not? And that Keshin final Fighting Spirit move would be Perfect Rajan, which is essentially just Rajan Blade, but, like, all as one and stronger. Because I didn't want to call it Rajan Blade because I already called Rajan Blade, and Rajan Blade. That makes sense. Okay, moving on to another Season 4. Mixie Max. Jesus. Oh my god, I forgot about that. Mixie Max, Jesus. And I wanted to also do someone where you can Mixie Max 2 people at once. And so I chose this guy, Hake, who Mixie Max with Jesus and Pontius Pilate at the same time, because why not? And this guy is oil themed and religion themed because he's the son of a major oil giant and a religious preacher. And it ended up being like, I didn't intend for him to end up like this, but he ended up kind of being like really couldn't be arsed and just constantly is complaining about wanting to go to sleep and not want to actually play any football, but he's actually really talented at football. That was the kind of vibe I ended up going with him. Field of Oil, I did not end up using any of these moves really. I guess I just kind of changed them. Sin and Salvation, though, is the freaking most badass thing I've ever heard in my life. I love it. Samuel Odell. Oh, Samuel Odell. This man is such a cool idea. I love this man so much. Samuel Odell Jackson. So basically, this guy in Season 4, because there's a bit of time skip, starts as a first year in Season 4, right? And then he's like a defender. He's really naive and enthusiastic. Then by the end of the first season, or by the 4th season, not by the end, like at the beginning, end of first quarter, let's say, he gets kidnapped by a time-traveling Blackbeard. And then while he's kidnapped, he starts rising in the crew and that. And when the main team notice, oh god, Samuel's been kidnapped, they travel back in time, but get it wrong by 2 years. 2 years ahead. And so when they come back, Samuel has taken over Blackbeard's crew, is 2 years older, hates the main team, and is now a much insanely better football player, and just gets really pissed off with them essentially. And he ends up rejoining the team, but he's just a lot more edgy. I really ended up end up with 3 edgy boys, because we have Samuel, who hates life and hates the team. Are, who's just kind of, look at his picture. And then Hake, who is just can't be arsed and that, and so just constantly complaining. Why did I do that to myself? But yeah, this man's really cool. I love his whole thing. I really, really love his whole thing. And the Jackson kind of ties into a play you'll see later on slightly bigger waves. But I really like this guy. We have, he doesn't Mixie Max with anyone, which is a shame. I wish he Mixie Max with Jesus. Then we have some other players. Tries to with Jesus. Newton is one of the main villains of Season 3. He's meant to be this super powerful player. Closest I can think of is... He's kind of, I guess, I don't want to say the Gamma of Season 3, because Season 3 is the Alias Stone type season in terms of the organized. I'd say more Alias. It's basically going to an alternate universe. a parallel dimension where they're the bad guys, and they take on, and there's like a big organization, kind of a la Alien Academy, a la Protocol Omega. And Newton is the, like, if the final boss team is them, but evil, like the main characters, but evil, Newton is just the guy just before that. He's the genesis to the Dark Emperors. So I guess you could say he's Zine. He's really cool. I love him. But yeah, the idea was that he would join the main team in Season 4. Then we have this guy who I can't remember at all. Cesaro Fortis, a bandit from Judah. He prides himself in stealth. So he'd be from the Jesus timeline. the Jesus timeline, of course. And then we got post-time skip. I'll only be briefly touch upon probably a few. I won't get all the way down here because I just don't. You guys do not need to see all of this. You guys do not. So Array in the future, I mean, it's just kind of him. He's now just kind of working like scouts. He's scouting players. He coaches Kirkwood because of course he does. Because who doesn't coach Kirkwood in their future? We have this guy, A. Kakaru. Former hockey player for the school, gets kicked out of the team, so joins the football team as a backup. Incredibly good photo. He's still to refine the basics. I like this idea for this team. Now these are players I have not got to use yet, but it's just kind of like they're just kind of chilling. So I guess I'll talk about Senbi for a second. Senbi is one of it. I kind of joined in season 2. Well, I started season 1, had to quit for personal reasons. Then joined in season 2 again, and I brought with me 2 new characters who were joining Inazuma Japan as the 2 newbies. And those were Array and then Senbi. Senbi was essentially he kind of was in some ways Jack in terms of, he was a mixture of Jack and Archer, and that he'd never played football before, but then was this big, was the big typical large body defender, big large body the wall ex-defender. He had a really cool scene in the match between Japan versus Australia, slightly bigger waves. I'll get into probably what. I guess I can explain it then. Basically, I don't know why I'm standing up for this. Like, it's gonna help my explanation. But like, he was in goal. Like, he was forced to be in goal to fight his defender to basically bring him out of his element because he basically sucked for the like nationals. You know what I mean? Like the preliminaries. And so he basically sucked. And so to bring out a special move, they put him in goal against this insanely powerful Australian team. And he had to like jump into the air and do a move called Earth Spring, where he like basically just headspots the ball on the way down. And that was his big moment. It was his big moment to become cool. And he's a maths teacher in the future for some reason. And so his son, Ochi Uzunaki, Senbi's kid, very boastful about his father being in Rising Sun being in Inazuma Japan, refers to himself as a prodigy and a polar opposite to his father. He's learned at a young age how his father hated being quiet and shy. So his father was really quiet and shy, so he's the exact opposite. He's really boastful and loud. We have Yuka Shippei, the greatest forward ever. At least that's what he tells himself. Overcome with hilarious bad is Hisatsu always originated shots, but also then serving a much better purpose and different use. Oh, this is such a good idea. This was such a good idea. The idea of a player who basically sucks at playing football, and all of his like big Hisatsu shots end up just being better as different moves. Oh yeah, I pop off for this guy. And here was like, I guess, the most interesting character from that season. You know how I was saying about how he basically how Mahu cloned people. This was one of the people who ended up kind of not being cloned, but mixed with the gene. You know what I mean? Like the gene he used to clone. And so this is Nakagawa Tuma. Looks up to the main striker of the previous time skip before, but so he begins to hate him with envy. Wishes to be like overstrong, no matter what it takes. He will do anything for power without morals, even if it means doing something criminal. By the end of the regionals, he becomes Mahu's test subject and becomes a she replica, eventually becoming an incredibly powerful player, but loses at the end of the season as the drug is run out of him. Last shot was so powerful it heavily recoils, injuring him heavily. I know, it's like mad, isn't it? It's like absolutely mad. Clone tribute, Sun formation, his evil match, bonkers, bonkers. And then we have Rura, Rura and Mahu coming back. Yeah, because and enemy. Yeah, and then we have Kirkwood, who I never really got much into. And this is just an idea for a season. Gods arrive, and the main team plus other all-stars have to take on fucking gods. Yeah, there we go. Here it is. So, for instance, we have one god here, Mohita Hidaru. Calm, cool, and collected. He's the perfect attacking force, and his sometimes aggressive and mischievous players come in handy time after time. So he would be kind of, I guess he's more of a demon devil, I guess, more than a god, which is fair. So he'd be like joining the main team. He'd be joining the main team as kind of the Faerun of the team, basically. We have God's Legion, the final team of the season, made up of the only strongest gods. So here we have Kanjetsu Supsa, the god of space. He's aggressive and violent, but takes care of a lot of his domain, especially when he's involved in a fight. We have Masake Kage, Jakan, the god of time, he finds joy in speeding up time when people are enjoying themselves in order to satisfy his maniacal side. A new era, he kicks the ball forward, going back and leaving a white trail. The world then around the shot then reverses, reverting back 200 years. His version of Jakan, 200 years ago, kicks the ball again. This repeats with different versions of Jakan, adding the power to the ball until they reach the beginning of time, where the shot explodes into a gigantic beam firing towards the goal. I mean, as you do. And then Dashin Hikaru, the god of light, the captain of god legions, is ever star in every sense of the word. Destructive power beyond your imagination. I mean, pop off, like. The god, I mean, I don't know why I decided a season based around gods. Like, how are the gods supposed to lose at football? You know what I mean? And, like, I feel this would have to be the last season of that to, like, so, you know, realistically have power scaling where something, you know, because you can't really have anything happen post beating gods. You know what I mean? Like, if you beat the gods at football, you're doing something right. You know what I mean? But, all right, I think I've wasted your time long enough. Let's talk about the team that is the inspiration for this video in the first place. Slightly bigger waves. The Australian team, who I love to death. We have, I'm not going to go all of them in detail. I'll talk about the main ones. It's going to be... Okay, I'm alive again now. Philip Rainwater, abandoned by his family in the rainforest, to spend a long lifetime adjusting to the rain. So this is just kind of the standard goalkeeper, except insanely strong. The idea with Slightly Bigger Waves was to have this team kind of nowhere, be insanely strong, kind of like a la Little Gigants, be the preliminary final, and it'd be this basically massive Fire Dragon-esque. You know how long Fire Dragon was in the anime? Have that be a massive match where it's kind of an Aries time away of how the opposing team gets so much development. The basic idea with these guys was that they all kind of were constantly bickering and did no teamwork. By the end, they started working together. And kind of, again, I hadn't seen Aries by this point, so I can't say, you know, oh, I took my inspiration from the Izai Gorgon match, like, you know, the Alien match. But I guess in some ways it's kind of like that, except the whole team. And so we have Ulura Ali, King of the Sandstone, this ex-student of insert Inazuma Japan coach here, focuses completely on pure strength and stamina. Now, he would have normally been a forward who got moved back to defender because, again, I love the idea of a forward being in defense. We have Jones Cold Shoulder, the captain of the team, hails from the Australian Alps and has developed a resistance to the cold as well for chilling attitude. So this guy would be a defender who would also move up to forward in the second half. We have, and then in terms of the other big player, there is Port Jackson. Jackson, you say? Jackson, you say? Spends his free time swimming with sharks, and as such has developed similar instincts. Claims to smell fear. Then this guy would have shark bite, and this would be like this big, like the big shot that would terrify everyone. It would be to just annihilate the opposing team. And then he would also serve as the goalkeeper in the second half, a la Zell, with like his hammerhead, and he would basically be this insanely powerful goalkeeper as well. And then also part of the idea is that they would just do like, basically, Inazuma Japan would shoot off their biggest shots, and bloody Jones Cold Shoulder would just come over and be like, hey, what's up, bro? And just kick the shot away, like literally like with ease, just power it away, and with just a normal kick. And then the second half would happen, they'd be like, oh, why is this defender in forward? And then he would literally kill them. And then basically as it would move on, they would become generally, you know, they would start to work together more. And you would end up with a couple new moves. For instance, Jones Cold Shoulder and Port Jackson would get a move called Counter Break, which would be like, if you imagine I'm Jones Cold Shoulder for a second and Port Jackson's over there, they would turn away, and then pew, snap, and like they would basically block the shot, like kicking it into each other. You know what I mean? And like the shot would just completely stop, and then it would be, ooh, would you look at that? And then there was Grand Shimakawuka, which I think is an animal in Australia, which is like the big 3-person kind of Earth-like shot, which would score, but then, I guess, yeah, it would kind of score or whatever. I don't remember if it scored or not, actually. Basically, yeah, the match would come down to the real wire, like, I think extra time-esque wire, literally. But yeah, that is Slightly Bigger Waves. This is my favorite team just because of how genuinely intense the match was, like how big the match was. And there are definitely more teams I could have talked about. I decided to keep it pretty limited for this 30-minute bloody video. But I won't do more parts of this. I have a big video planned because there are, more than anything, there's a project that's even bigger, and I can't wait to show you guys that. But alright, I've been TXM. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, and all that stuff for daily Inazuma 11 content. See you guys on the other side. Bye.
We wanna say thank you to shout